Okay, I know that folks are likely using either their lunch hour or it's at least the noon hour, and I know that Amy has quite a bit of really great information to share with us. So we will go ahead and get started, and obviously people can continue to join the session as we're moving along. I'm Audra Montoya. I use she, her pronouns, and I am our Employee Housing Programs Coordinator. And with us today, we have Amy Kennedy from Brothers Redevelopment, and is going to share some really great information with us. And I will turn it over to you, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to jump into the deep dive into the challenge of affordable home ownership. As Audra had shared, there's quite a bit of information, and we'll just move through it fairly quickly. And just keep in mind that this will be recorded and on your employee website, where you'll be able to access it again and look at some of these screens slower and some of the websites that we're furnishing. Feel free to use the chat or the questions and answers, and we'll try the best that we can to address those questions before the end. If not, you're always welcome to go ahead and email either one of us, and we'll make sure that we get you an answer between the two of us. So the webinar is designed to answer some questions about the affordable home ownership programs that are available in Colorado, and specifically to Larimer and Weld counties. We're going to go through the down payment assistance programs that are available for Weld and for Larimer. We're going to talk about the land trust that's available there in Larimer, and then some specialty loan products. We'll spend the majority of the time in the down payment assistance to topic 1, just because it is rather complicated, and there are lots and lots of resources available in different organizations that are offering different programs. So what I'd like to point out as a first step is that the down payment assistance websites, as I said, these will be available on your employee website, so you don't have to worry about writing these down in a hurry. Metro DPA, despite its name, is available in both Weldon and Larimer. You would want to still go to this website, denvergov.org, for the true information on the whole broad range of what that program can offer. If you just Google Metro DPA on your internet, it's going to show many salespeople and their specific information. So I would really encourage you to use this website. Go and see what the program offers before you're talking to a sales commission paid salesperson. You want to kind of get your feet wet before talking to someone specifically about that program. Now we'll go into detail on the next slide as to what they offer. Impact Development Fund is another organization that has a couple of programs. Most of those are through First Bank, so it would require a First Bank first mortgage to utilize their programs. They do have one that is not attached to First Bank, that is a good program that other lenders can help you with. Colorado Housing Finance Authority, better known as CHAFA. For anyone that's doing any research and has researched affordable housing programs, CHAFA's probably coming up in that Google. They have 2 options. They have a down payment assistance, and then they have a silent second mortgage, and we'll go into detail on those as well. This is the comparison chart that we'll probably spend the most time on, and it's a little complex. Again, keep in mind these programs are always changing, so you do want to check their particular websites out regarding each of these. And you would have these available on the employee website, so you can take a little bit more time to look at these. In the Metro DPA, down payment assistance is DPA, it only requires a credit score of a 640. Now that's for the program itself. just to be a little knowledgeable, the lender that you go to will also have a set of guidelines that they have to meet. So if your credit score is a 640 and you don't have, open collections and recent late pays, and you're still pulling only a 640, you would want to talk to that lender and make sure that they're okay with that as well. But it does fit the parameters of the program. What they ask that you do is that you reside in the home. That down payment assistance, as long as you live in the home for 3 full years, will be forgiven. And forgiven means that they will release whatever lien they put against the house after 3 full years of primary residency occupancy. So that means you'd live in it, either yourself or you and your household, for 3 full years. You couldn't buy it, live in it for a year and rent it out. That's not going to qualify for the down payment being forgiven. As you can see, the income is quite lucrative. It's well over 100% of what they call the area median income. You'll see in some of these other programs, there are guidelines on a maximum income. 188, 250 is a generous income of which they're still willing to provide down payment assistance. Now, the direct benefit of that down payment assistance is going to be based on a couple of different items, basically your income and basically your assets that you have saved. The lender that you go to, as you can see down here in the special information, it requires a approved lender through Metro DPA, and they do have a list. The list is a little confusing because it looks like it's just a couple of places, but there's probably 30 to 40 lenders that are approved to work with that down payment assistance. Also on your employee website, we will furnish some general names of people that we know that are willing to do what they call compounded work, with working with a first-time home buyer, getting them into a good fixed rate and layering with some of that down payment assistance. And we'll furnish at least 3 names that you could contact just to get an opinion, not necessarily having to originate with them, but just reputable folks in case you want to know some direct questions. In the case of Impact Development Fund, this particular program requires a first mortgage. So that means you would have to go to a first bank to originate the first mortgage. Then they would layer it with this down payment assistance program that's available through impact funding. The requirement for credit score there is just called mortgage ready. So that basically means, close to a 680 or higher. The higher it is, of course, the easier you're going to be approved. First Bank would use an automated system that basically generates the approval. And then based on that approval, then you would look at layering it with that repayment of the down payment down payment assistance would be a second mortgage against that property. So they're going to leave that on there until you fully pay that off. Now, in the case of the Impact Development Fund First Bank down payment assistance, you would be making monthly payments on that amount. So you would have a first mortgage and you'd have a small second mortgage. As you can see, the income requirements for that is 80% in an urban area. That's going to be within the city limits. 100% in non-urban areas. So that means that if, say, for instance, you know of a nice subdivision right outside of the city limits that you'd like to try to live in, there's a good possibility that they could go all the way up to 100% of the area median income. And just to give you a kind of a ballpark there, for Larimer County, if you're a single person, you're just yourself and you're buying a home, that income level would be held to 63.6 at 80%. But if your household has say 4 in the household, it would be up to 90,850. So it depends on the size of the household and whether it's 80 or 100% area median income. The benefit for that program would be 20% of the down payment assistance, which is quite a chunk, or up to 30,000, whichever those two figures is less. They do require interest on that second mortgage, and they would be charging 4% interest on the second until it's paid off. Impact Development Fund also has a down payment assistance program where it's not affiliated with First Bank. And so again, based on the previous screen, the website to go to Impact Development Fund, you can read more specifically about both of these two programs right on the Impact Development Fund website and get a, it's a single page guidelines. It's not real hard to figure out whether you think you might qualify, and then of course checking with that approved lender. In the case of this, it would not be a First Bank first mortgage. It would be, as you can see down here, an approved lender of the Impact Development Program. So basically all these lenders have to go through a little side program that proves that they understand the program and they understand what the guidelines are and how to originate that with a good fixed rate. The impact development funding is a 30-year. It's also at 100% of the area median income. And in special areas, it's actually 100 to 120%. So that's going to be fairly generous. And you would be able to compute those based on what they call the area median income chart, which I will get over to Audra as well. If she'd post that on the employee website, you could be able to pull that off pretty easily and check that out. One cautionary statement: if you're close to the max, please submit your income to an approved lender for that program and let them determine whether you squeeze into that program or you're truly over. Everyone figures income just a slight differently, and you don't want to not take advantage of it if it's possible. The maximum on that is $25,000 worth of help. So that's quite a chunk. At 100% of the area median income, there's 0% interest charged on that 25. If you're at 100 to 120, 1% interest is charged on that 25,000 if you are approved for that maximum. This fourth program is called PATH, and it's a newer program, and it is also a program that requires a First Bank first mortgage. It's also for Black and African Americans only. As you can see, this income figure really increases to 140% area median income, which is going to be quite a bit higher. So more people are able to fit into that program. The maximum on this program is $10,000 or 20% of the purchase price. PATH proceeds, they're considered not a gift and not a loan or a lien. They are actually recorded as reportable income. So now I say this because I want people to be careful if you're thinking about using that program. You'd want to know how that might impact your federal and state income taxes, meaning you're going to get what's called a 1099 for reportable income. You could kind of compare it to winning the lottery. Of course, the lottery is going to be more than $10,000, but basically you get a slip of paper that says that you've received $10,000 worth of income. There's no taxes already paid on that. So you'd want to make sure that that was a good fit for your particular needs and program, and take it from there. But you would not have to repay any of that money, but it would be perhaps, or could be, reportable. You'd want to talk to your IRS consultants on that. You are required to go to First Bank for that program. And then we come up here with the CHAFA, um, who consistently offer the down payment program, as much as 3% of the purchase price up to 25,000, whichever of those two figures is less. And there's no repayment required on this particular program. There are income requirements. They don't publish what they call an area median income. You actually have to jump on their website, but they're real clear. Depends on what county you live in and what that income limit is. As you can see, they go down to a 620, but you would also be working with a lender. So the catch-22 to being the lower score is that you always want to talk to the mortgage lender or banking institution or credit union you're going to, that first they're approved to do CHAPA loans, and second that they would take a score that is at a 620. They may have a guideline internally that says 660 or 640, or maybe they have no particular guideline. They just publish what's called mortgage ready, meaning that the automated system that they use for their approval would tell them whether you fit that category or not. CHAPA is a great organization. They do charge a small amount in the interest rate to offer this program. So you will find that a 30-year fixed Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan with CHAPA is going to cost you a slight increase as opposed to the open market. So these are things that you want to weigh, and a good mortgage originator who's CHAFA approved could also be approved to deliver straight to Fannie and Freddie. They can kind of help you figure out which of these scenarios might work the best for you and your family. The second mortgage program, that actually goes up to 4% of the purchase price, but that's not really going to be, that's not going to be forgiven. So that 4% or the 25,000 is going to be out there for the life of the loan. And when you're done paying for your 30-year mortgage, you're going to have your second mortgage to pay off. So, that's just something to consider. It is at 0%. And as long as you don't refinance that first mortgage, it will sit out there for the full 30 years. But you do need to plan, how am I going to pay off that second mortgage when you get through your 30-year loan? Which is hard to think about, because 30 years is a really long time. But if you just kind of peg yourself at year 20, there's several different things you could do at that point in time to take care of that second, or start saving for that second, to have that small lump amount ready to pay when you're done with your 30-year amortization. And as I said, that's a lot of information fast at you, and that's a good reason why this will be available for you to look at slower. Check out their websites, and please just be real careful to check out the websites from the organizations giving the down payment assistance themselves, and not accidentally slide over to a salesperson. The takeaways from the chart, just kind of as a reminder, CHAFA down payment assistance requires an approved CHAFA lender. Impact Development Fund requires First Bank on 2 of those programs and an approved lender on the 3rd program. Metro DPA requires an approved Metro DPA lender. But I just want you to think about this. In fact, one of the lenders that I'm going to provide, he's actually approved for both doing Metro DPA, CHAPA loans, and the Impact Development Fund that's not attributed to First Bank. So if you're real careful where you're shopping for your potential originator, whether it's the credit union, the bank down the street that you go to for your checking account, or a brokerage, just make sure that if you say, hey, I'm thinking about trying to do one of the down payment assistance programs, for instance, with Metro DPA, are you an approved lender? Those are good, honest questions, and they should be able to answer those. If they try to talk you out of it because they're not approved, I would just suggest checking with somebody that's reputable to see if you can combine the idea of having down payment assistance along with a good 30-year fixed program by using one of the suggested lenders to check with, because sometimes lenders who are not approved will just try to kind of talk you out of it. Oh, that's too hard. You don't want to do that. It's too time consuming. Well, yeah, it is a little extra work, but when isn't thousands of dollars worth of help going to be extra work, right? So I think it's well worth it and worth the extra hassle. For most of us, the prices of the homes are so expensive that this is a good way to help combat that. Number 5 is to keep in mind that home buyer education classes are going to be required with all the down payment assistance programs. And you want to make sure that the CHAFA class is an approved one. I believe with all that I've shown you so far, the down payment assistance, these particular programs do allow for the CHAFA. That's a free first-time home buyer class, even if you're not doing a CHAFA loan. And they give you a certificate that's good for a year. So even if you're thinking about, hey, I'm not going to buy for 12 months, really check into that class, because it's really advantageous to take it before you sign a purchase agreement or go see a lender. You really want to take that class and get yourself so to speak better equipped in the driver's seat. You'll learn tips. You won't really learn much about the down payment assistance, but you will learn trips and tips and what your rights are, and how to move through, and why it's so important to choose that realtor, choose that lender that you really want to work with. This is, for most of us, the biggest purchase in our lifetime. And so, no amount of research is a waste of time. If you're spending, $500,000 on something, that's $500,000. Invest in yourself and invest in your decision. Brothers Redevelopment does offer the class for free up through Adams County. Neighbor to Neighbor in your Larimer County offers those classes for free. If it's not convenient for you to spend a Saturday in a classroom for between 6 and 7 hours, this same class is taught online. It's called eHome, so you could go to Brothers Redevelopment or End to End, and you'll see a little eHome, and you can go in and it does cost. To do it online, it costs between $90 and $100, I believe. It might be like $110 now, but you can take it over a series of months. You can take it in a day, but this would allow you to take it at your own pace in your own home, and you can get your certificate that way as well. So speaking about land trusts, in my particular region, I'm from the metro area, we have several land trusts. In Larimer County, basically found the majority of it is pretty much Elevation Community Land Trust. And so I'll talk a little bit more specifically about that. So just to get your minds wrapped around what is a land trust, well, basically they can sell a house very much cheaper because they're using the price less the cost of the land. So you're not buying the land that the house sits on. In Larimer County, with Elevations, they have groups of homes they put together in townhomes. We'll see a picture here in a minute. But it's also available for single family detached homes. You do need to be through their program and approved. They make it very clear. Their website's very easy to follow. And again, you want to choose an approved lender for Elevation Community Land Trust. And many of the ones that we're already providing have already been approved for that program. So recently I've had some help of that, a couple of those lenders layer with down payment assistance and the additional land trust. Now, you're not buying the land that the home sits on. Most of these, and including elevation, would be a 99-year lease. So, and that's automatic renewal after 99. So if, for instance, you're going to live in this house forever and then you're going to will it to your children, it's just going to be in that land trust for a really long time. Things to consider with land trust, the one consideration, which lots of people think is a really cool concept, is it's going to be affordable forever. So say you do want to buy a home in a land trust, but you're only thinking about staying in Laramie County for 2 years. Well, when you go to sell that home in 2 years, you're going to sell it to someone else on an affordable price. And that's going to be based on what's called this resale value over here. Resale formula. They will go over the resale formula in the orientation and fully explain it. But basically, it just means that the concept for the affordable home will pass to others that same opportunity. It doesn't mean the same price that you bought it at. They will figure some amount of appreciation. Now, what this doesn't mean is, say you move into your house and Uncle Harry gives you 10 grand and you pay down your loan balance because you want to get it paid down quickly. If you've whatever you've paid down on your mortgage, you will receive back plus a small amount of appreciation. It's just not going to appreciate like a full normal open market purchase price of the full appreciation for the area. So it's just something to consider in your decision. And they go through that in the orientation. As you can see here, orientations are free. So if you're even just pondering, do I fit a land trust? I would suggest signing up. Elevations allows you to take that, opportunity for the orientation, just to find out more and to ask your questions to people who have the answers to fully explain that resale value and what you can expect by living in a land trust. So a couple things to think about. There is an income restriction. We'll cover it on the next slide. Again, you're not purchasing the land. However, when you apply for your first mortgage, they're going to use that land value in part of their transaction. So it actually works to your benefit. In many land trusts, you might not need mortgage insurance because the loan to value is going to reflect that land, even though you're not buying it. And I know that's a little over the top. We could spend 15 minutes on that comment, but basically, sometimes buying in a land trust can be a very reasonable, affordable thing to consider and well worth looking into. Something to think about is, like I said, if you're more interested in, well, I want to reach for that high open market price because I want to make every dollar I can on this home, then probably a land trust is not a good suit for you. That's something to consider. If you're thinking about buying a home that's affordable because you're tired of paying a landlord and you want to pay into your own back pocket, then a land trust can be an excellent way to get into home ownership for a first time. And you can still pass it from generation to generation. You still have to take care of it inside and out. And it gives you that full feeling of being a homeowner. I think they call it pride of ownership. But you definitely can make yourself into a good situation for your housing, not costing a fortune. This is a real life picture of it's at Kircher and Lady Moon Roads in Fort Collins. You guys may have already seen this from the outside. Maybe you've even been advertised for it, but this is brand new. 54 2 and 3 bedroom townhomes, with the, as you can see here, each one of them has a 1-car garage, which is an awesome, uh, awesome thing to think into, um, land trust, because we all know how often you have to shovel off your car, how great it would have, how great it would be to have a place to store bicycles and paddle boats and everything else that comes with living in Colorado, um, and still have the ability, as you can see, to have a pretty nice looking facade here and a backyard, and just being part of this community that's starting out. 80% AMI, so you would have to adhere to that. Again, they would be having some orientations on their site regarding those. If you have any interest, I think they're close to being ready, or in the process of, some of them may actually be ready. They say late 2023, and they're the way new construction works. Often there's just a lot of permit delays and holdups for real simple things like just getting the final permit for occupancy, those kinds of things, weeks out. So a couple of facts about ECLT, Elevations Community Land Trust. We'll get to the incomes the next screen. They do allow down payment assistance, plus your own assets, plus on a land trust. You're talking about getting something really reasonable at that point. They have orientation for free in Spanish and English. And then they have the approved participating lenders, the list online. A couple of the folks that we would have would also be approved. To get an idea of what kind of savings this is, consider $216,000 is the average price. These figures are from 2021. They didn't have updated ones for me to capture. So they've probably gone up a little bit since then, because we all know, Colorado prices of homes just keep going. And then just to compare that to an average market home, based on their website and based on their research, it was 540 in 2000. That'd be $540,000 in 2021. This little pie chart over here just shows this blue is Larimer County. So this one is Denver County, and this was Aurora. And it just shows you that, they're really, really trying to make an impact, because they want to bring these resources to where homes cost so much, to try to get more folks into home ownership. As you can see, their income levels are limited. However, like I said, if you're close, I would certainly talk to an approved lender to make sure that you're over, because it is an awesome, good program to get involved in. Basically, they have one down payment assistance program of their own, but they don't publish a lot about it. So you pretty much have to take the deep dive, we'll say, into applying on their website, getting approved into their program, and then they would be able to tell you whether you fit this extra $50,000 down payment assistance. Okay, you can check it out on the website. I keep checking and checking, hoping it's going to open up with what are the guidelines, but it's sort of elusive. But if you do apply, I think there may be a fee. I think it's like $25 to apply to be approved with Elevations directly. But keep in mind, it could be the best $25 you've ever spent, and you're not forced to go with them. Like, if you don't like what they come back and say, then you wouldn't necessarily have to take their offer. But you might be able to find out that way whether you could be one of those persons that's eligible for the 50,000. So I
Amy, just real quick.
Oh, sure.
We did have a question about speaking of down payment assistance programs. Do you know if any of those programs work with builder lenders, such as Dreamfinder's Mortgage or D. Horton's Mortgage?
Um, well, I would say what I would ask that lender is whether they do, a straight Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac 30-year fixed mortgage, because it's not really up to that lender. They probably are not approved as lenders. So, but for most builders, I mean, sometimes builders offer their own products, but most builders will take whatever product you bring them that's approved. So I would suggest, getting a full approval on a 30-year fixed with down payment assistance, and then approaching the builder. Here, I'm already an approved, pre-approved individual with this particular mortgage company or this particular bank, credit union, and I'm also approved for down payment assistance. If I put a contract in on this house, will you close with my loan? And let them talk to your approved lender as far as the details go. Sometimes I would be really shocked to see a builder refuse a pre-approved borrower on another program, because they're more interested in getting that home sold than making the loan against it. So unless they have some kind of oh, you have to get our loan, which I'd be a little worried if that's the way they're thinking, because you most people would have the right to bring them a loan as an approved borrower and say, here's my, just make this up, $300,000 approval. And, will you take the terms of the mortgage I already have versus me applying with you directly? And, and it may just be a phone call. Just be careful with that phone call, because if they're commission salespeople that work for the builder, the first thing they're going to try to do is draw you in, so kind of have your, as my dad would say, ducks in a row before you make that call, because salespeople are salespeople, and that's how they're paid. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just how they're paid. So, if they say, oh no, you have to come through us, I do a little further research on that building project and on that builder. I hope that helps. If you have any more specific questions, or you've run into any specific problems with any kind of a builder, feel free to email me directly or Audra and get it over to me, and we can kind of maybe even do a three-way call to that builder to find out why they're specifying that you have to go through them. Is that our only question so far?
Yes.
Okay. So I did want to mention Habitat for Humanity. There's one in Fort Collins. There's one in Loveland. Right now, their application process is closed, but I did put their websites in here. If you go to their websites, you can sign up for like an instant email notification that they're open for applications. And you can also get their announcements. You have to opt in to their contact list based on what the slide is saying, but looks like they're building some really nice, this home here is an actual one that was built. This is an older picture, so I'm sure, it's well done by now. Habitat can be a great agency. Sometimes they'll even help their people find good fixed rate mortgages, or even provide them. It's sort of a case-by-case basis. I work with the Habitat that's locally here in the metro area. They also accept down payment assistance, along with occasionally you'll still see a 0% interest coming from them. A lot of times there's a minimal interest charge as well. It kind of just will depend on, each one is their own agency themselves. You'll see that the guidelines are similar but different between Fort Collins and Loveland even. they do require some what they call sweat equity, but that can be the equivalent of thousands of dollars to your benefit. And that sweat equity, even if you happen to be a disabled individual, they will find things that you can do that aren't physical labor if there is an inability to be able to do physical labor. So never be, shy to figure out what the choices are. Let's see. So these are the examples of Fort Collins income. As you can see, they're a little bit less than the area median income. And they figure it two ways for you. They figure it as a monthly figure and they figure it as a yearly figure. And as you can see, the more people in your household, the greater amount, of course, you can make and still qualify. So that's the Fort Collins figures. And Loveland, you guys may already be well aware of the locations that they're showing, and this is a real family that worked on their own house and was able to purchase through Habitat on their website. Let's see here. So their income figures for Loveland, a little tiny bit less, it's within $1,000. So, and they even break it down into an hourly rate. So best thing to do is just to kind of delve into it, and they'll want to, again, what's called underwrite or review your actual income documentation to determine your income. And as I said, everybody has a little slight difference in the way they figure income. And it sort of sounds weird, but nobody's wrong. Let's see here. Okay. So topic 3 is just some examples of open market loan products that may equate savings, meaning they can be really a little, if you have the knowledge before you go and ask for a loan from some originator or some banker or credit union, you might be able to ask for some things that they aren't going to offer, and you have the full right to ask for them. We spent a good time Monday. Well, let's see here. I'm jumping ahead here in just a little bit, but well, we'll talk about the VA loan first, then I'll jump ahead. Okay, sorry. So for the VA loans, in most cases, just in case there's any veterans out there, it's absolutely no down payment required. Now, that doesn't mean you can't pair your wonderful service benefit with down payment assistance. They will certainly allow you to do so. But you're not charged any mortgage insurance, so that can be a really fantastic deal. Mortgage insurance is on a monthly basis can run anywhere for a $200,000 to $300,000 house. It's going to be like $175, $225 a month, and you go upwards of that, and it could easily be between $200 and $400 on an average price, depending on your credit score and what they call the loan to value. Now, I know that's a lot coming at you, but just consider, if you can save a couple $100 to $400 a month by using your VA benefit, just please consider doing so. You're able to reuse your benefit, meaning that if you buy one house and you live in it for 2 years and you decide, oh, I want to downsize, my kids are going to college, or it's the reverse, I want to increase the size of my household's getting bigger, then you'd want to sell the house but not let someone assume your VA loan. So if that realtor says, oh, you got a VA loan, let's advertise it assumption. No, keep your hard-earned benefit with you, and you can use it for your lifetime. Even if you refinance, say you get in a home now and that interest rate's 6.5%, 7% because of what's happening in our market right now. 2 years from now, you want to refinance, then there is something called a streamline refinance with the VA. That does cost a small amount, but does not cost a full refinance. They may be able to drop your rate, not ever leaving that same lender. If you do leave that lender, just to pay off that VA loan, you can reuse that VA benefit immediately. The underwriting guidelines for a VA loan are more lenient than a conventional or an FHA. This is because of your service duty and the fact that you've served for our country. They wanted the guidelines to be more lenient. There's no maximum. So to the dollar amount you can qualify for, you just have to have the income to support it. So this is sort of a phenomenal offer. You're out there making buco bucks and can afford an expensive house, the VA can help you buy that house with no down. So keep that in mind. Of course, that might affect the down payment assistance, but at that point, maybe you don't mind. So as far as, CHAPA offers VA loans, most mortgage lenders and banks and credit unions offer VA loans. If someone you go to is not interested in helping you with a VA, if the first words out of their mouth are, "Oh, you don't want a VA loan because of this, because of that," ask them how many VA loans they originate a year, and you're probably going to find out either zero or none. And you want someone who's good at VA loans, because if someone wants to prove to you there's a less expensive option out there, they should be able to still provide you two approvals, one on a VA product, one on a 30-year fixed product, and let you decide what's best for you and your family. You don't want the person deciding for you. And thank you for your service. If there's a VA vets out there, a couple other avenues, and this is where I started to talk ahead of myself, was on Monday, we gave a couple of different presentations. Well, actually the same presentation twice. And that'll be on recorded on your employee website, where we talk in great detail about four conventional products, two with Fannie Mae, two with Freddie Mac, all with only 3% down. And we really go through a good synopsis of the differences of each one of them's 3% programs and who might qualify. And of course, those can be paired with the down payment assistance that we talked about in this one. So feel free to pull that up and look at that if you didn't get a chance to attend on Monday. And they'll go into great detail about the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, or what we call the conventional options, which can be a lot less expensive over time, and you'll see the pros and cons in there as well. The biggest one meaning that over time, the mortgage insurance is dropped automatically by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and it only requires 3% down, not 3.5% as FHA requires. USDA loan, this is a little bit more rare because you have to be in a specific area where USDA will allow a loan. And so what I did was I included the website here on this particular slide, and this would be for the single family non-direct loans, they're called, but these are for the ones that you would want to put the address of the property you're thinking about buying into the map to see if it will even qualify for USDA. It's only going to be for real rural homes. For instance, Red Feather Lakes, so you're talking about some pretty far drives. There are some out east that also borderline north and east that might come into play there, but again, much more rare option. You can pair the down payment assistance with those as well. CHAPA does offer those, and so do many of the other lenders. So check out this website, and it will tell you more about the products themselves. And there is no mortgage insurance on a USDA loan either. But again, very, very limited for a selection that may or may not be realistic if you want to drive that far. FHA loans do require 3.5% down. They can be really good, especially if your credit score is less than a 680. They will publish on FHA's website, they'll go down to a 580. I haven't seen any mortgage lenders that will accept a credit score that low. I would say more 620, 640 as the bare minimum. It is going to cost you more because your mortgage insurance is based on loan to value and your credit score. So if your credit score is a 640 and you think you can bump it up to a 680, you might want to work on boosting your credit score as a first step, and then applying, 6-8 months from now, depending on how fast you can boost that score up, just to save over time on the cost of the mortgage insurance. FHA loans are great, 30-year fixed loans, don't get me wrong, but they do cost an upfront mortgage insurance fee at closing. Lenders will say to you, oh, no big deal, we'll roll it into your loan amount. True, you don't have to come up with the cash, but you are going to pay for that loan amount roll in over 30 years. And for us that understand amortization over 30 years, you'll be paying for that upfront fee over the 30 years life of the loan. The mortgage insurance doesn't drop. So if that's the only way into home ownership and you want to avoid those price increases in the future, then maybe it is a good fit for you. If you want some help with those decisions, you can certainly ask us any questions for free. My email will be here in just a minute. Let's see here. Okay, so I guess it's right there. No, I don't have, no, it's down here on the bottom. I didn't realize I was burying it there. But you're more than welcome to reach out to either of us, and we'll get you the information you need. And this presentation will be recorded as well on the employee website. It will take a couple days, I think. Is that right, Audrey?
Yep, it'll be on for sure by next week, hopefully by the end of this week. Okay. And I did put Amy's contact information in the chat for folks who are looking for that. And just 2 quick plugs for some of the CSU programs that we've been able to launch this year is, don't forget, we have, as CSU employees, you might qualify if you're eligible for the mortgage insurance waiver program through Kansas Credit Union. And we have a housing partners program where we've partnered with a number of real estate agents, folks who do home inspections, et cetera, to provide discounts to our employees as well. So those are 2 other options to take a look at on our website.
Awesome.
And we have a couple extra minutes. If anyone has questions, you can throw in the Q&A or in the chat. I am not seeing any, but I appreciate you being with us today, Amy, and for sharing some information with us, and for everyone who was able to attend. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and perhaps your lunch hour to spend with us. If you have questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.